You ever felt out of sync with the people around you, even when everything looks fine on the surface? You walk into a room and just know something is off. You feel the shift. You see the tension. You can almost point to where the truth is sitting. And when you finally say something about it, you're told that you're seeing something that isn't there, overreacting, turning moments into something heavier than they need to be. So after a while, you stop bringing it up. You stop naming what you notice. You start keeping that depth to yourself. And slowly, something painful settles in. This quiet loneliness. Not because we are alone, but because we feel alone in what we notice. If that hits, stay with me because I love this too. For a lot of us, this didn't start in adulthood. It started way earlier. We were the kid who could tell what kind of day it was going to be just by the way the front door closed. The kid who listened to the footsteps in the hallway and knew whether it was safe to stay in the living room or better to disappear into the bedroom. We paid attention to tone, facial expressions, silence. Not because we were dramatic, because it actually mattered. Some of us grew up in homes where emotions weren't talked about, where they were explosive or unpredictable. So we learned to read the room before we could relax. We learned to scan before we settled, to feel when the atmosphere shifted, to adjust ourselves to keep the peace. No one sat us down and taught us this. Our nervous systems figured it out on their own. And when you grow up that way, awareness becomes your default setting. You don't just hear words, you hear what's underneath them. You don't just see behavior, you sense emotional weather. So now, as adults, we walk into rooms already tuned in, already noticing, already feeling what others haven't clocked yet. And that's why the frustration is so real. Because once you've spent your whole life reading the room in order to stay safe, you can't suddenly pretend not to see what's happening in order to keep things comfortable. There's a reason this pattern follows us everywhere we go. Human beings are wired to avoid emotional discomfort. Groups naturally smooth over anything that might feel heavy or tense or exposing. It's how families keep functioning, how workplaces stay polite, how friendships survive without falling apart. Most people learn early, don't make waves. Don't bring up the thing no one wants to talk about. Don't make the room uncomfortable. Keep it light. Keep it moving. But when your nervous system is tuned to emotional shifts, you become the one who feels the undercurrent first. And when you name it, you interrupt the unspoken agreement that everyone else is relying on to feel safe. So the room protects the surface, and we become the outlier, not because we are imagining things, but because we feel them first. Over time, this creates a quiet story inside of us. Maybe I'm too intense. Maybe I should say less. Maybe it's easier to keep parts of myself private. So we start softening our words without even realize we are doing it. We edit ourselves. We share only the parts that feel safe enough to be exposed. But hiding our depth isn't going to make us less deep. It just makes us feel alone inside our own lives. And that's the exhaustion many of us carry. It's not from feeling too much, but from having nowhere safe to place what we feel. Here's what's changed things for me. I stopped trying to force myself into spaces that required me to stay small. And instead, I started building a life that actually fits my nervous system. Slower mornings, fewer but deeper friendships, more honesty, less performance. And once I did that, I realized something important. We don't need everyone to meet us in depth. We just need a few spaces where depth is welcome, where honesty isn't punished, where emotions are allowed to exist, where saying something feels off isn't labeled drama. When we find those spaces, our loneliness softens. Not because we change who we are, but because we are finally met where we've always lived. A few things have helped me along the way. I have learned to seek out depth on purpose. One honest friend has been worth way more than 10 surface connections. One conversation where I don't have to translate myself changes everything. Learn to give myself recovery time after being in rooms that feel performative. Quiet drives, long walks, sitting alone with something warm. Not as isolation, but as returning to myself. I've learned to stop apologizing for wanting real connection, to stop calling myself needy for craving sincerity, to let myself want what I want. I want substance. And slowly I've learned to trust that the right people recognize me without explanation. These aren't fixes. They're ways of living that honor how I'm wired. So if any of this feels familiar, here's what I want to leave you with. Maybe our goal shouldn't be to become less sensitive. Maybe our goal shouldn't be to learn how to tolerate shallow connection. Maybe our goal shouldn't be to fit in better. The real work has been learning to trust what we notice, even when no one else names it, even when it makes things awkward, even when it costs us belonging in certain rooms. Because once we're awake to what's real, pretending starts to hurt. And that's the part most people don't talk about. So if you felt lonely, Maybe it isn't because something is missing in you. Maybe it's because something false has fallen away. It isn't failure, it's clarity. If you're here, you are already closer than you think.